This is definitely precedent setting, I think, for the city of Vaughan and certainly the province of Ontario, that hate is not going to be tolerated here, that there's going to be consequences and serious sentencing if you want to harass members of the Jewish community.
It was on the higher end, which is at 12 months, which I think sends a good message as a deterrent.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Newmarket, Ontario at the Superior Court of Justice. And speaking of justice, it has been served. This is a follow-up to our story recently regarding Kenneth Gobin. Now, Mr. Gobin, this is a man who directly targeted Jews outside of a synagogue. This is going back to January 2024. He tried to hit them with his e-bike. He spat on them. He made comments to the effect of Heil Hitler and you should have died in the Holocaust. Just absolutely dreadful stuff. And by the way, let's see Mr. Gobin try to explain his actions when we're at this very courtroom last Thursday. Check it out. Mr. Gobin, David Menzies, Rebel News. Yes. Can I ask you, why do you hate Jews so much?
I don't really.
No?
I don't.
No. Who are you, sir?
I have Jewish clients.
Okay, then why did you spit on those Jewish people?
It all happened so fast. They attacked me.
They attacked you?
They attacked me. It was just a matter of defending myself.
I thought you tried to ram people with your e-bike.
I went around them, boss. If I rammed them, they would have been hit. I went around them on the grass.
What about all the Hitler comments and you saying that they should have died in the Holocaust?
You know, I
don't touch me, sir.
I don't have nothing against the Jews. I just was actually cutting a Jewish man's grass the other day, and he invited me in his house, and I seen the Passover stuff. Okay. I respect the Jewish people.
So what happened outside the synagogue that you would act that way?
Nothing happened outside there.
Well, so you've been convicted of 2 counts of assault and 1 count of breach of probation.
I went around the Jewish people, man.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it. We're allowed to get mad, man. We all get mad.
Well, you get mad often, Mr. Gobin. You have a criminal record dating back to 2007.
All right.
You know, assault with a weapon, car theft.
Hey, I was young and dumb, you know what I mean?
And how do you explain it now? You're what, 35 now, sir?
I mean, it's assault. People are doing life in prison, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be doing my 1 month, 2 months, whatever.
So, speaking of your sentence, that's being put off till next Tuesday.
Stop pulling me. Let's go to the.
What do you think would be an appropriate penalty for you, sir?
I don't think anything should be. You know, I don't think no comment. I think they should be all dropped, man. They started attacking me, man, and I just defended myself. That's it.
But there were multiple eyewitnesses that say that wasn't the case, Mr. Gobin.
I know. We got to move on, though. Like, we live and we die, right? So this will pass, right?
I'm not sure what you mean by we live and we die.
We live and we die. I've been in worse situations. I've been to the penitentiary before. This is nothing, man.
Do you understand the harm you've caused the Jewish community with your whole...
I'm sorry.
Would you like to take this time to apologize to your victims?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's all I could say, man. I gotta go. My dad wants to drive me away, but I'm sorry about the whole situation.
And Dad, how do you feel about your son's behavior all these years?
He's not happy. He's not happy, man.
I try to teach him the right thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we've been in the community for over 30 years, and we're respectful to the Jewish. My neighbors
The news kind of boosted it up, too, because, you know, I watched the news, and I seen that whole Holocaust thing, and the whole Palestine thing, and then it kind of got my head too, because I'm a weed smoker, and it affects you, you know?
And you evidently suffer from delusional behavior, too.
Yeah. I'm on ODSP, man. It's like, my mind's not... I did 7.5 years in prison, you know what I mean? My mind is right?
Okay.
All right. I'm happy to hear your side of the story if you want to...
I'm sorry to those people, man. Like, we're allowed to get mad, you know? Every day I walk that sidewalk as a potential fight, man. I don't even walk with my shirt on no more, you know? Like, I'm ready to fight the people out there.
You're playing the victim card. You're saying they're spitting on you, that they're putting dead fish on your car trunk?
They did do that, though. They did. Like that.
Who's the they?
The Malcolm, the big Jewish guy. The big guy that was walking with his wife, he started shouting at me. I was high on fucking weed and MDMA, and my mind, I should have kept going, but, you know, like... the drug affected me, man. I am sorry to all the Jewish people, because like I said, I got about 10 Jewish clients. I cut their grass. I do snow removal, you know, and I'm not racist, but I'm allowed to get mad, you know. We all get mad, and, you know, fights happen, and there's thousands of guys locked up, but I'm not the only one for fighting, right? So
Well, the Crown is asking for what, 18 months?
A lot of time. That's even my lawyer said it. 18 months is a long time. I said, even my mom told me I shouldn't even do a day in jail. It's just spit. It's just spit.
And now I am here with Malcolm and Tilda Roll. They were the recipients of the verbal abuse and the spittle coming from Mr. Gobin's mouth. First of all, folks, it comes down to the sentence that was rendered today by Justice Townsend. His lawyer was asking for 90 days. The Crown was asking for 18 months. The final decision was 12 months plus 2 years of probation with several conditions on it. He was led out in handcuffs. The sentence starts today. Your reaction to the sentence?
I think it was appropriate. It was somewhere between what the Crown was asking for and what the defense was asking for. It was on the higher end, which is at 12 months, which I think sends a good message as a deterrent to any other people who are thinking of that it's okay to do this sort of activity. It's not okay, and if you do it, you're going to end up in jail for a year.
You know, that's a good point, I think, Tilda, because we have seen these past 19 months in the streets of our great Dominion all kinds of Jew hatred out in the open. I mean, chants for genocide, people showing up at these pro-Hamas rallies cosplaying as Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th massacre, the display of swastikas. Nothing seems to get done except arresting peaceful counter-demonstrators and members of the independent press. But with this particular case, as Malcolm mentioned, is this sending a message to other anti-Semites out there that if you cross the line, you're going to do a year in the slammer?
Yes, this is definitely precedent setting, I think, for the city of Vaughan and certainly the province of Ontario, that hate is not going to be tolerated here, that there's going to be consequences and serious sentencing if you want to harass members of the Jewish community. I think that the obiter or the statements made by Justice Townsend in terms of the concerns that the Jewish community has faced since October 7th and the hate that continues in the community has been addressed, and I'm very pleased by the comments made by the court and the sentencing.
And you know, on that note, Tilda, let's talk about some of the comments Justice Townsend made in his 8-page ruling. We don't have time to talk about all of his comments, but let's begin with the beginning, where Justice Townsend said the following, quote, "All Canadians have the right to be who they are, worship how they wish, love who they want, believe in what they wish to believe, and to do all this free from violence, discrimination, and intolerance. We live in a world right now that seems to be marred by hatred and discord. Every time we turn on the TV, listen to the radio, or read the newspaper, we can see that headlines constantly refer to difference and divide rather than community, acceptance, and togetherness," end quote. I guess, Malcolm, and you spoke about this when we first met last Thursday, why is there, especially in Western nations, such a tolerance, it would seem to me, for anti-Jew hatred?
Well, it seems like there's been an indoctrination that's happened for decades in the schools and the universities and even all the way down to elementary schools, where they're teaching this anti-Western, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel agenda. And it's the woke agenda, and it's the Marxist oppressor versus oppressed, which is not a valid ideology, but it seems to be the one that has taken root and is being propagated. And the kids these days, everybody coming up through the school system, have been marinated in this ideology for so long, and the result of that is you get people like this who act out on these impulses.
And Tilda, I tend to agree with that. I think what we're seeing on campus is a unholy union of the Marxists and the Islamists. And, just the other day at Columbia, that demonstration was shut down. And what I found perversely ironic was that 11% of the people who were arrested identified by the pronouns they, them. Well, as you know, you go to Gaza with the pronouns they, them. How's that going to turn out for you?
Yes, social activism, unfortunately, has adopted an agenda that is anti-Western, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel. I think people are misguided. I think a lot of people are uneducated. I do think that, unfortunately, our children's agendas are completely have been taken over by this sort of woke agenda, and my concern is that unless a strong message is sent, that people, and I mean this assault and the spitting and the comments that were made, the Hitler comments, unless we're going to start taking it seriously, and there's going to be jail time and there's going to be condemnation by authorities.
Do you think there's any hope of rehabilitation for this person? Yes, he's been given a year's worth of time, but he has spent a lot of time in prison, going back to 2007, numerous violent offenses such as assault with a weapon, car theft. The list goes on. He was even convicted of masquerading as a fraudster, raising funds for sick kids' hospital, if you can believe. I'm just wondering if during his counseling period while he's in jail, which he's mandated to take by the judge, is there any hope for this individual, or when he gets out a year from now, is it just going to be more of the same?
I don't know. I hope that there would be a change in behavior. I don't know enough about him. What I do know is, like you just said, that there's been a long list of criminal behavior that doesn't seem to have changed his attitude. At the end of the sentencing last Thursday, he went on a rant that was still blaming the Jews for all his woes. He seems to have no remorse. So I'm not that hopeful, but I hope that he does reform his behavior. I'm not so certain that it will. But more importantly, I find that this sentence will serve as a deterrent.
I'm concerned about Mr. Gobin's comments throughout this, certainly during the sentencing, and the fact that he seems to think that he's a victim. And I'm going to say, wake up. That's not the case at all. I simply don't understand why he can't take responsibility. And at this point in time, if he's not going to take responsibility, I'm hoping that the sentencing, if somebody doesn't want to take responsibility or has an idea that this is acceptable behavior, I hope that they'll think twice, because it's not acceptable, and I think people have to start being accountable, and that's what's not happening. And that's what we're trying to send out, that you have to be accountable for your actions.
Yeah, in his brief statement last week, it was preposterous. He was saying Jews in the community routinely spit on him. They call him, his words, a dirty packy. He wakes up often to see the trunk of his car covered in dead fish, presumably by Jewish people. You have to wonder, is there perhaps an element of mental illness here?
I appreciate that people have mental fragilities. I don't think that that's an excuse for bad behavior. I think that if you have a mental health issue, you have to seek out whatever type of medical attention that you can seek out. If you choose not to do that and self-medicate, and then you perform bad behavior, that's on you. That's not on me. I stay in my lane, you stay in your lane. This business of essentially using mental health as a crutch or an excuse, I don't accept that.
It was really 2 assaults that occurred on that day, wasn't it? It was you and your husband and your friends being spat on, being almost run over by an e-bike, but also the attack on the Jewish community itself, evoking the name of Adolf Hitler in a positive sense, saying words to the effect of, you should have all died in the Holocaust. This is incredible hatred, and there are people still alive who are Holocaust survivors. To see this happen in a country like Canada in 2025 or 2024 when the event happened, it must be absolutely horrifying, I think is the word. Last word goes to you.
Yes, the fact that they have to be re-victimized, and I hate using that word because I know that at this point in time, and I'm sensitive to the Holocaust survivors and the people who survived October 7th in Israel. This has got to be so upsetting, but it's also a wake-up call to the young community and the members of our community, both Chabad Flamingo and otherwise, that this cannot continue to happen. This pattern of hatred and intimidation has to stop. The UJA is having their walkathon in about 2 weeks. And, the primary focus, sadly, is on security. And I know that people don't want to walk because they are fearful of, whether or not they're going to be safe. And that's just very upsetting. This community has supported Jews. We are builders. We have been here for decades. We have made the community better. And that's what we continue to do. And we're hopeful that the general public understands that this sentence is a wider deterrence, that we are just not going to put up with what is going on as a community and as individuals. So thank you for that.
Tilda, Malcolm, thank you for your time. And there you have it, folks. I mean, what we have seen too often in terms of anti-Semitic attacks, including physical assault, is a slap on the wrist, house arrest. Mr. Gobin got 1 year behind the slammer, a couple more years of probation. Maybe if there are any Jew haters out there that want to follow in his footsteps, at least there are some judges out there that are saying this is serious and it will not be tolerated. You're headed to jail if you act this way. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, have you had it up to here with the amount of anti-Semitism we're seeing on the streets of Toronto and other Canadian cities? We sure have. And you know what's amazing is that some of the people chanting genocide, they're not Canadian citizens. They're on work visas. They're international students. Well, if you feel like we do, please go to our website, deporthamas.com. That's deporthamas.com. We're going to assemble a critical mass of signatures and tell these people that if you think you can get away with chanting violence and genocide on the streets of our great Dominion, well, no, time to pack your bags and leave.